I'm sure that we all know that l'arc-en-ciel means the rainbow in French, and that l'arc-en-ciel named themselves that because they're all gay. And since l'arc-en-ciel is the most genuine queer representation that Japanese rock has to offer, that gives me the perfect opportunity to do l'arc-en-ciel songs as the colors of the rainbow. It's about 3 songs per color, very simple, and this is all just my opinion. I'll just get right into it. This song is about loving someone, if love or that someone that you love was ever real. It's about constantly searching for love that you'll never find, and even when you think you found it, it just rots away. My Dear can be passionate yet pessimistic at the same time, actively wanting love and also never believing in it. And I think those feelings can easily be translated into the color red. My references in point are the way that blood rushes through someone's heart when experiencing intense love or intense hatred for love, and Apple's old angry emoji. The red that I would use to describe the way My Dear sounds would likely be something along the lines of a cadmium red. It's really rich and dense, which can kind of equate to the instrumentals of My Dear. The way that it swells into the chorus, it comes off very strong, if that makes any sense. It's kind of ironic that I chose this, since cadmium as a pigment is resistant towards fading, and the lyrics of My Dear talk about how love can be short-lived, and that it all just withers away. Killing, yelling, screaming, being enthralled by your sinless death, or whatever that means. Shout at the Devil is very aggressive, very in your face, angry, Hyde talking about how he should have killed you or himself. I was getting all kinds of pronouns in every translation that I read. Ledoku has so many weird songs like this. One that also comes into my mind for being a bunch of nonsense is The Ghost in My Room, which I have talked about before. Though, Shout at the Devil has obviously more evil connotations, and of course an almost there religious motif, the most blatant being devil in the title. And there's also a stanza that shows up twice. Prayer, lead this hand now, show me how to extinguish the dazzling lies, even though that power seems corrupt, raise the flag of truth. I really only needed to show the first line, but whatever. Religion has always been Hyde's shtick, so it makes sense. In the beginning, right after the shuffling of drumsticks and the slight feedback of the guitar, how the instrumental just kind of explodes in front of you, it's really cool. The shade of red that I would use for Shout at the Devil is a brash, jarring orangey red, like fire. Oh, and speaking of shades, I used to always associate this song with spring, since it felt so airy and easy listening to me. It's my favorite song off of Butterfly. Well, it does actually have some competition with Wildflower, because I am a Wildflower connoisseur. But once I read the lyrics, I think it could be considered more of an autumn or even early winter theme. Well, actually the song talks about feeling miserable no matter what the season is, but whatever. That day fades, the haze shimmers, the flower I was searching for is withered. This flower's slowly drying. I used to think of flowers like poppies or carnations whenever I'd hear this song, but now that I know the meaning of it, it makes me think of red leaves falling to the ground when the seasons change. But the flowers I mentioned could still be there too, just wilted and gray-brown. Since Hyde writes how each season just passes by and that it's all just a constant loop, it's hard to think of any color that matches this song, since it's a rotation of feeling bleak and regret. But the kind of red I would assign Shade of Season took me a bit of thinking, but I think it would be kind of a blushy, muted, rosy, pinkish red. I love when I get to hear just a bunch of random English bullshit from them like this. You're right, I don't want to be around boys if they have no sympathy, or if they test me or trick me, if they watch me. I don't want them to wake up. I don't want boys to be around me in general. All of l'arc-en-ciel's English songs, minus genuine English versions like XXX or You Gotta Run, just fascinate me lyrically. With Trick, I cannot even think of what this song could be about in a remotely nuanced way, other than that men are dangerous and that you should stay away from them, which is a statement I agree with. It's the same with how I feel about, like, Good Morning Hyde. It's total nonsense, but I endure it. The kind of orange I would give Trick is neon orange, since it's very garish, hard to avoid, like a warning, like something you might get when you're driving, which I don't pay attention to. Love Flies to me kind of has this lazy heat to it. It's not very fast, even as a rock song. It's 122 BPM to be exact, and Hyde's voice is a little more sultry than normal. especially during the few lines of the bridge. What also makes me think of Heat is the music video for Love Flies. There's a few scenes where the band and a bunch of random people are in a club, and the effect in the video is all wobbly and stuff, like how air looks wiggly when it's hot. Pretty cool PV. There isn't anything else I would like to discuss about it, definitely. The orange I would put in here is a reddish orange, since that's pretty close to the colors of the walls of that music video club thing, but if we are being specific, I would say something close to vermilion. Actually, butterflies do not sleep. They enter a dormant state of reduced activity called torpor, and they hang upside down, and they hide beneath leaves. And with butterflies in general, I automatically think of the monarch butterfly, and with the word butterfly itself, I automatically think of the worst Larkin Ciel album, and back to butterfly sleep, I think of orange, which is the worst color. So it should all connect, right? But no, butterfly sleep is actually good. The only reference to a butterfly that Hyde makes in this song is about someone's dress flowing in the wind. Pretty lackluster if you ask me. And the whole song in general, I think it's about unrequited love and also death, as well as having some kind of hatred for the world. So this is probably the most Larkin Ciel song a Larkin Ciel song can get. A shade of orange I would assign to this track would be that same burnt orange, almost amber-like color with the transparency in the monarch's butterfly wings. Very pretty. So yellow is often the color that people think of when they think of gold, but also since this song is very delicate and simple and reminds me a lot of summer, even though I don't like summer, it's a reason why I put it in here. Wind of Gold sounds like summer if I actually enjoyed it and if it was actually nice to experience. It literally feels like wind and you can hear wind chimes. I think that Wind of Gold matches the album it's attached to. It is the quintessential song for Tierra, other than gold, which in my eyes is not a color, but rather the light that reflects off the rock. The color I would assign Wind of Gold would be a pastel yellow. This is the first honey mention, yay. When I started this channel, I just didn't want to talk about honey or any of Laruku's popular songs for some reason, because I wanted to be different, but I'm changed. I like everything if it's remotely related to Larkin Ciel, even if it's popular. I know that the music video for Honey is supposed to display a naked lady covered in honey in some kind of barbed wire contraption, but I think that they did a bad job of actually making that mysterious substance look like honey. It's way more translucent and not as thick and amber colored as actual honey, but that also could be because of how muted and gross the color scheme of the PV is. Anyway, the color I give honey is honey yellow. I thought that I'd finally get to talk about a happy song. I thought we were all gonna be jolly together, but no. I think this might actually be My Dear's older, slightly more optimistic B-side sister. It talks about once having love, but is now disappeared, and wishing to see them again, even though they know their future together is long gone. The sun is mentioned in this song, so I do have a reason to put this here. Opening that door and running through, the sun shining down through the trees, the familiar seaside road eventually leads to that place. The yellow I would give Brilliant Years is royal yellow. It's a very soft and cheery kind of shade, which is what Brilliant Years makes me feel, despite the lyrics. Cheery. Yay. You'd think that I would put this song later in blue, since floods and tears are water, and water is blue, technically. But whatever. Floods of tears kind of feel suffocating in a way, struggling to let go of something. And in this case, it's love that you once had. This is literally just Brilliant Years, but significantly more depressing. When I close my eyes, I can hear your voice like it's echoing from a distant past. I search desperately for a trace of you, but the wind only blows colder now. The color I would associate with Floods of Tears is maybe something like an ivy green. It's kind of a dark green and a little grayish too. Just something dull and deep to describe losing love and stuff. Since there's the music box that plays in the end, it feels really delicate as a song, but ironically, I chose an ivy color despite ivy as a plant being very strong. Maybe Floods of Tears can be strong, you know, maybe the ivy is like deteriorated or something. One of the only recordings of Nostalgia you can find on YouTube is incredibly fuzzy and it sounds like I'm hearing it underwater and I get scared. But since the audio is so like diluted and staticky, it's almost kind of a comfort to hear. It sounds really familiar, even though it's a pretty niche song in terms of Lark and Seal. The kind of green that belongs to Nostalgia, in my opinion, is like a muted olive green. I think it can sort of show the bittersweetness of Nostalgia. It's not too dull like how Floods of Tears green was, but it's not bright like this next song I'll talk about. Like a traffic light. Yay. This is like pure filler, by the way. This has no substance to it. This entry has no substance. But I'll try to come up with something. This is kind of a funny statement, but RSG might be one of Lark and Seal's more heavier songs, as pathetic as that sounds. I mean, like, it's pretty casual in comparison to their stronger songs like As One, or even other songs from Smile like Revelation, but in a way, it's still like super punchy. And the reason I chose for this to be in green in general is because, you know, the word go is in the title and it makes me think of traffic light, and so you go through it and it's easy to follow because of like roads and cars, and RSG is very accessible because it's an anime song. None of this made sense. If this song is traffic light green, I will find the exact color I'm talking about. It can be more of like a limey shade or even something a bit cooler toned. I'm not sure, but again, this is just pure filler. I changed my microphone cover, so I hope this is better. Shizuka no Yumide can translate to in the silent sea, I think, but it can also translate to sea of tranquility, which in the simplest way I can describe is, so there was this crater in the moon and then lava got poured into it and then it cooled down and hardened, so now it's this little spot on the moon. I don't know if that's right. I am only a Lark and Seal nerd. I am not a science nerd. And in some pictures you can find, that spot looks blue. That now, for me, explains why all of the spaceship talk on the intercoms was there in the song. And all of the sea motifs present in the lyrics. But none of that explains the baby at the end. Who is that baby? Before I knew all this information about the Lunar Mar, Sea of Tranquility and such, I was oddly enough going to put this into the green category, but it's blue now. The specific blue that I would give it is a dark grayish blue. This one that I found was called Pastel Charcoal because it best matched the color of the actual Sea of Tranquility. This song is quite cool and eerie, and I think it's pretty overlooked in the grand scheme of things when it comes to Lark and Seal's discography, especially since it's from their indies era. Flowers of the Night is about, from what I can come up with, being with someone that you love despite knowing the end of it, whether that would be metaphorically breaking up or literally dying, and then going into a deep sleep. Maybe that also means death, I'm not sure. I love the way that the song takes this crescendo. It feels so, like, powerful, despite being a pretty simple song at first glance. I think this song is like super underappreciated. It's one of my favorites right now from them. For the kind of blue I think Flowers of the Night belongs to, it's a shade that I found called Prussian blue, Prussian, also known as 003152. What a beautiful name for a girl. This song makes me think of the deep sea, since on the cover for the single of Forbidden Lover, there's a big whale in the ocean. The music video also feels kind of oceany too, even though it might be more of an ominous, cloudy, and abandoned area for the most part, and also some building that they're in. But it looks cold and watery in my eyes, so my point still stands. Yay. And in the beginning, before you get to hear Hyde sing, the way the guitar notes go like downwards, and then once the vocals start, it's like you're coming out of the ocean. I felt like I was drowning for a moment and I got really scared. It's really immersive. The kind of blue I think of when listening to Forbidden Lover is a very, very dark blue, like a really deep midnight color, or the closest you can get to the ocean floor. I see indigo as a transitional phase, like something fading into something else, or like dreamy in a way, or even going back and forth through consciousness and unconsciousness. And with this song, it feels very dreamlike. It feels like you're kind of dissociating when you hear it, and also that lady in my ear telling me I don't have to worry about a thing and that I can be who I am encourages my schizophrenic tendencies, but it's okay because she's really supportive about it. And that scream that Hyde does after the bridge still feels so floaty because of all the echoey filters over his voice and stuff. The kind of indigo that Anata no Tameni belongs to me, is heather indigo. It's dark and purple and blue and gray all at once. It feels foggy and dense, and I think that's a good way to describe how the song sounds. I will now talk about the actual folklore of Lorelei. So she was a siren, and she would sing, right? And then all the sailors would go to her, and then they'd die. The end. And she also had a big rock and she'd sit on it. I think storytelling is my new passion, so I hope you can support my newfound dream. The song Lorelei itself, like maybe twice mentions water, so I'm not sure if Hyde named it that because he just thought it was cool or something to that nature, or if it's even directly related to the folklore. Anyway, the type of indigo that I envision with Lorelei is surprisingly a light shade, tropical indigo. Since in some lighting, the statue of Lorelei in Germany can kind of create a light purpley blue edge that I think looks pretty nice. This has actually grown to be one of my favorite Larkin Ciel songs, despite me before kind of ignoring it altogether in the beginning, since I thought it was just a boring ballad. Yes, it is a boring ballad-ish song, but something very cool does happen, which is during the bridge, there's like this deteriorating kind of sound that Ken does with his guitar that I think is super cool, and it makes the song feel more emotional and hit a lot harder. Everything is so layered in that one part, and I love how you can hear Hyde harmonize with himself in both ears, like the dual audio stuff. It's so awesome to me. And with that crashing kind of part and how floaty the whole song is, the kind of indigo that I think would go really well with a silent letter is called faded indigo denim. It's a cloudy, pretty gray color, but it does remind me of the sky, especially right now where I am since it's been raining all the time. It just has this gloomy air to it that I really enjoy, and it also matches to the real album cover itself pretty nicely. Hyde sounds actually quite pathetic in this song, and I like it. From what I can read by the lyrics, Careless is about being unable to fully love someone, possibly not being able to move on from someone else. It's just based off these two lines alone that I saw. Though I can catch this night, I can't call her name the same way. Which could mean he is with someone, but he won't hold someone. Yes. Other things I can come up with for Careless is the fear of ruining a relationship with someone and feeling like even if you stay together, nothing will change the pain that you both feel. I can't cure you as you shiver with your white sighs. These withered hands will just hurt you so your pain won't disappear. How does this relate to violet or purple exactly? I feel like it can sort of convey hopelessness in a way, especially in terms of love. Anyway, the specific type of purple that I think Careless would go well with is pansy purple. It's a dark, almost reddish purple that I think is really nice because of how much red is in there, and it can mean, I don't know, like frustration with oneself in a way. Also, did you know that this song was supposed to be on Tiara? I didn't. I love learning. This song is so calming to me, like it feels like I'm falling asleep, which makes sense since Nemuri ni yosete means drifting into sleep. If morning was actually enjoyable, I think waking up would feel like this song. It's really refreshing in a way, and every time that I come back to it, I feel at peace. The kind of violet that I would give this song is like a really soft lavender. Finally, for once, we are jolly, we're happy, we're having a good time for once. I was fully expecting I Wish to just be another case like C'est La Vie or Brilliant Years and be incredibly sad despite how cheerful Hyde may sound, but no, sometimes we can be happy. Yay. This song is about everything being okay and that you never have to be sad anymore because Hyde is there, and the streets are filled with miracles once you open your window and how you are precious. The violet that belongs to I Wish, in my opinion, is purple pizzazz. It is bright, almost pink, and it is joyful, and that is what I strive for all of us to be. I love that we are able to finalize this list on a happy note. Happy song. I hope you enjoyed this. This took me really long to make, but it is really fun to make these, and I hope that I can make more in the future. If you subscribe and like and stuff, I really appreciate it. It really encourages me to make stuff like this more often. I will try to be more consistent, and by the time I'm uploading this, it is most definitely Pride Month, so I hope you have a happy Pride. Tell me what you thought in the comments. I read all of them. Bye-bye.